Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Friday, the day after Arsenal's victory in Norway last night and 2 days before they returned to Premier League action with that game at Leeds on Sunday afternoon. I wanted to start today's video by talking a little bit about the Bodo game. I didn't do a ratings video last night because I had a bit of work to do after the match, and obviously I wasn't there, I was doing it from home. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that game. Do my player ratings if any of you too bothered about it, because I didn't get to do them last night, and then I'll take a little look ahead to the Leeds match on Sunday as well, look at the team news, that sort of thing. So in terms of last night, look, job done. It wasn't pretty, was it? It was a pretty ugly game, pretty boring, but Arsenal got the job done, and it's no mean feat going to Bodo and winning. They won 14 in a row going into that game. I think it was the longest winning streak in Europe by any team since Real Madrid in like 2017 or something. Real Madrid got up to 15, albeit in the Champions League. Bodo got up to 14, and it's just a really difficult place to play on that pitch. You could see it last night. It was just weird watching that game on that pitch yesterday. So many players struggling with it, the pace of it. Just miss-hitting passes, over-hitting them, under-hitting them. Just couldn't quite get to grips with it, and it didn't make for a great spectacle. Let's put it that way. It wasn't a thriller by any means, but Arsenal got the win. 1-0 to the Arsenal. What more can you want? Those sort of tricky European games when you've got to deal with the conditions that you don't normally deal with. It's just about getting the result, and Arsenal did that. Bukayo Saka getting the goal, very lucky goal, as he admitted afterwards. It went in off his lip. Can't imagine he's going to score too many goals off his lips during his career, but he did last night. It was a really nice little move down the right-hand side. Him and Sambi, Lokonga, who I thought played very well, linking up, and Saka's original shots blocked, and then it deflected in, sort of up his body, hit his face, chest, and went in. And that was all Arsenal needed to get the win that leaves them with 3 wins from 3 in the Europa League, top of the group, can guarantee themselves qualification next week if they beat PSV at home. They won't guarantee themselves top of the group yet, but will virtually do that if they can beat PSV. It just means they'd have to win one of their last 2 games. They've got Zurich at home, who are a bit of whipping boys in this group, who they got hammered 5-0 yesterday by PSV. So Arsenal in a really good position in Europa League, and there's not much more you can ask for than that. And if they do beat PSV and get themselves pretty much through, then that will give Mikel a lot more scope to really sort of rotate his team for those final 2 group games, give some players a rest, because he went pretty strong last night, didn't he? Went stronger than I was expecting and most people were expecting. But having said that, I still wasn't overly surprised, because Mikel does tend to go strong in this competition. He always tends to surprise us a little bit with his starting 11. I think he knew how difficult yesterday was going to be on that pitch against a team who plays so well at home. He knew how difficult it was going to be, so he went a little bit stronger. You know, the likes of Saka started, Saliba started, Ben White started. Those players I thought would probably rest. I thought Marquinhos would play, for example, on the right hand side. I thought Cedric had come in at right back, but he did use the opportunity to rest the 3 players who had started every single game this season. So Martinelli was on the bench, Xhaka was on the bench, Gabriel didn't play either. So those players had a bit of a rest, although Gabriel Martinelli and Xhaka did come on in the second half for the last 20 minutes or so, but didn't overly exert themselves. But it was a good performance. There was some. I thought Saka played well in that first half. He had the fullback all over the shop in that first half, scored the goal. I thought Sambi Lokonga played well. I think quietly Sambi's having a good season. Whenever he comes in, he plays well. I know he got a bit of grief after the game at Old Trafford, and there was a couple of things there where he not let himself down, but he got caught out a little bit. But it's such a difficult job playing the Thomas Partey role on your own in that midfield, especially at a place like Old Trafford. But I think on the whole, Sambi's had a good season. I think he's progressing pretty well. I thought he was good last night. Really kept the ball well. His passing stats are excellent. He just doesn't really lose possession. I thought he looked confident on the ball, got forward when he could, set up the... Well, he didn't actually get credited with the assist for the goal because of the way it went in with the deflection and everything. But, you know, it was his good play with Saka down the right that led to the goal. And yeah, I thought he had a good game. So those 2 really stood out for me, and Matt Turner as well. I thought Matt Turner, who played well last week in London against Bodo, I thought he did that again yesterday. And I think there's been a lot of, I don't know if spotlight's the right word, whatever, but following this move and Arsenal deciding to let Leno go in the summer, there's been lots of people sort of looking at Turner and maybe not disrespecting him, that's the wrong word, but I think questions are quite rightly being asked about Matt Turner and whether he is good enough to really be the number 2 choice goalkeeper from what we've seen so far and what we saw from him in pre-season. But he answered a lot of those questions last night. Shot stopping clearly is a strong point. He didn't really have too many saves to make, but when he did, he saved them well. But I thought what was good about him yesterday was just how alert he was, how the sort of sweeper role he played, especially on that pitch when the ball was skipping off it. He several times he came out well and cleared the ball and deservedly got a bit of praise, I thought, after the game, because I thought it was a good performance from Matt Turner. Looking at what Mikel had to said about him, he said, look, he's improving, he's getting better. We are demanding things that are different to what other managers have demanded him to do. He was much better in the first half than in the second half. In my opinion, we can have more control. He was phenomenal in goal, the way he reads the situation, especially defending at the back of the central defenders when he needs to control the space there. The way he set himself in the one-on-one situation he had was really good. So lots of credit there from Mikel. And like I said, when he says there, when he controls the space there behind the central defenders, I thought he did that really well. That was a standout thing for me from Matt Turner yesterday. So deserves a lot of credit. So fair play to Matt Turner. And yeah, you can see how happy he was after the game. And he's loving life at Arsenal. He's a big Arsenal fan. This is a dream move for him, and he's getting games now. And he's not letting himself down. So well done, Matt Turner. Right, as you can imagine, after praising Matt Turner there, he's going to rate very highly in my Arsenal player ratings. In fact, I'm going to give Matt Turner man of the match. So he gets an 8 for me for that. Like I said, when he was called into action to make a save, he did it, and he did it well. But his all-round game, I thought, was good. He thought that right at the end, when that corner came in the 93rd minute, sort of last play of the game, really, he was put under a lot of pressure right underneath his crossbar on his line. He got a good fist away and ended up winning a free kick. So he did that well, and the way he swept up, he was alert, he cleared danger, and I just thought it was a good performance from Matt Turner. So he gets an 8. Defensively, I gave the 2 fullbacks 7. So Ben White and Kieran Tierney, I gave 7. I thought Ben White, especially in the first half, really got up in support of Saka. He did leave a little bit of space behind him at times, where there was 1 or 2 dangerous moments from, but overall I thought White played pretty well. And yeah, got up in support of the winger very well. I thought Tierney again just looks fit, strong. I gave him a 7. I thought he was pretty solid. The 2 centre backs, I thought they were. There was a little bit of space at times left between them, but on the whole, I thought they did all right. I gave Saliba and Holding both a 6. I thought Saliba was very much playing in second gear, which isn't overly surprising, really. Just making sure he doesn't get injured, did what he had to do. I thought he gave a 6. Rob Holding made some really good headed clearances in the game. In possession, he was actually very good. You look at his passing stats at the end of the game, he rarely gave possession away. But there was just a couple of times when the defenders were maybe just a little bit too far apart from each other. I think it was the first time they'd ever started together, so that's perhaps no surprise. There was no real understanding there, and they left a little bit of a too wide a gap that got exposed at times. But on the whole, yeah, both of them very decent display. Did what they had to do, so they both get a 6. Sambi Lokonga, I'm going to give an 8. I thought Sambi was good. I thought he was a standout midfielder, no doubt about it. I've already praised him earlier on in this video, so there's not much more to say on him. Gave him an 8. Vieira, I gave a 5. I thought it was a really difficult evening for Fabio Vieira. He just couldn't get on the ball. I don't know whether it was because of that he was playing alongside Odegaard rather than Xhaka, and the two of them kind of got in each other's way. It was all a little bit congested at times in the middle, but he just didn't really ever find any of that space where we've seen him be such a threat in previous games. I thought it was a difficult night for Fabio Vieira, but he's going to have those, let's face it. So I gave him a 5. Odegaard, I gave a 6. He was just a little bit more involved than Fabio was, so that's why he just gets a little bit higher mark than him. So he gets a 6. Saka, I'm going to give an 8 because, well, match winner. Like I said, in that first half, caused them all sorts of problems down the right-hand side. Did exactly what he had to do. Won the game for Arsenal, so he gets an 8. Nketiah fed off scraps all night. Didn't really have too many chances, unfortunately for him. But he still, when he could, held the ball up well, got involved in the play. He gets a 6, and Reece Nelson gets a 5. Frustrating night, really, for Reece. 1 or 2 nice little runs in the first half, but just couldn't get involved. There was that shot he had in the second half that went nearer the corner flag, and I thought that summed up his night, really. He just couldn't quite get into the game, almost trying a little bit too hard to make something happen, and yes, he gets a 5. There was a whole host of substitutes who came on. You saw them, but I'm not going to give those guys a ratings at all. So there's my ratings for last night's game. Turner 8, White 7, Saliba 6, Holding 6, Tierney 7, Lokonga 8, Vieira 5, Odegaard 6, Saka 8, Nketiah 6, Nelson 5. Let me know if you agree with any of those, disagree with them. I'm sure you'll disagree with them because you tend to. I would tend to get a bit of hammering for my ratings. Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so big game for Arsenal on Sunday as they look to maintain that position at the top of the table, of course, being played before Manchester City go to Anfield. So possibly, if Liverpool do the business against City, a chance for Arsenal to extend their lead at the top of the table. But, you know, Ellen Road, not the easiest place to go. It's going to be a very hostile environment. As always, Arsenal did win there and win there well last season, 4-1. Gabriel Martinelli running the show in that first half, getting himself a couple of goals. How he would love to do that again this time out. We're right in the heart of where it's very difficult for Arsenal squad-wise now because of the Europa League, the Thursday nights, the Sundays. This is where it's really beginning to test the squad. The squad's, you know, it's missing a few players at the moment. We know Gabriel Jesus was rested for the game in midweek in Norway. He is expected to come back. We're told there's nothing to worry about with Gabriel Jesus. It was just a decision to rest him and give him a bit of a breather after the bit of a battering that he took against Liverpool. So expecting him to come back in. Zinchenko remains very much a doubt with this muscle injury. Probably going to miss out, I imagine, but that's not confirmed yet. But I think, you know, certainly have him down as a big doubt for the game. We know there's no Smith Rowe. We know there's no El Neni. You'd imagine the likes Thomas Partey's going to come back into the starting 11. Aaron Ramsdale, Gabriel, who else? Gabriel Martinelli. All those players are going to come back in the starting 11 who didn't play on Thursday night or didn't start on Thursday night. And yeah, it's just a big opportunity for Arsenal to, like I said, with that game between United, City and Liverpool at Anfield, it's just, you know, if Liverpool can do something and they're going into it on that back of that really good 7-1 win against Rangers in the Champions League, and Man City tend to struggle at Anfield, this could be an opportunity for Arsenal to extend their lead. So it's a big game and they're going to have to try and deal with the tiredness. I mean, they flew back after the game last night, would have got back in the very early hours of this morning, wouldn't really done any sort of training today. I imagine they'll probably come in this afternoon at London Colney just for a bit of a stretch and a warm down. Then they'll travel up to Leeds tomorrow. So again, no real chance to train or anything like that. Or train properly. They probably might do a little session in the morning before travelling up to Leeds to go to the hotel overnight. So it's just a case of Mikel trusting his players and you know, telling them what to do, going through the various tactical talks. But in terms of actual training between now and the game, there's going to be very little of it. So it's just a case of them trying to get through it and continuing this really good, impressive run of form that they're on. I mean, the team, you kind of know it's going to pick itself. I think the big decision is what he does at left back. Obviously, Tomiyasu came in, did brilliantly against Salah last week. You know, is that going to be a long-term thing now, or was that more specifically aimed tactically at shutting Salah down by playing the right-footed Tomiyasu up against him and stopping him cutting inside on his left foot? Tierney started last night, which makes me think it's probably unlikely he might start again on Sunday. So in my mind, I'm probably sort of erring towards Tomiyasu when it comes to who I think will be at left back if Zinchenko does miss out, as we probably expect him to. So that's one of the big talking points for Arteta when it comes to team selection. But other than that, you know, unless there's any injuries that we don't know about from last night's game, then you're looking at Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Partey, Odegaard, Xhaka, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli as the most likely looking starting 11, you would think, for that game at Leeds. All right, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, please do have a very good rest of your Friday and enjoy the start of your weekend. I will catch up with you very, very soon. Have a good one.